There's a very hidden cost of ADHD on our lives. ADHD impacts us in some more obvious ways and other lesser known ways. Here's our dreams, things we want to achieve during our short lives on this planet. The only way we can achieve these dreams is by deliberate, focused work over a long period of time. It stands to reason then that the only thing holding us back from achieving our dreams is procrastination and a lack of focus, both of which are amplified in ADHD. I decided to audit my life as a PhD student at Oxford University to try to find my procrastination vices, the unhealthy habits that waste my time the most and stop me from achieving my university and life goals. I was shocked to find just how many hours I'm wasting each week procrastinating with ADHD. In this video, I'm going to share the 10 ways I'm wasting over 10 hours a week at university procrastinating. These are the things I'm going to cut down on to become more efficient with ADHD. Let's get right into it. So the first and one of my smaller procrastination vices is procrastinating about the time. Now, I have a pretty awkward fixation with studying during whole hours. I generally don't like to start studying at 8:53 in the morning, for example, and I'd much rather procrastinate a few minutes and start studying at 9 a.m. I also like studying at 15 past, half past or quarter twos, and recently I've managed to settle with any whole time that ends in either a 5 or a 0. I actually started procrastinating this way more and more ever since I adopted the Pomodoro technique, so I can better track my breaks and how many Pomodoros I've done in my study day. It's probably a small idiosyncrasy that I have, but it does waste a few minutes of my time every single day. The next procrastination vice I have is procrastinating because my study conditions have to be perfect. I'm one of those people where the conditions have to be roughly the same for me to achieve a flow state with my PhD work. I have to have the right temperature in my studio, it can't be too cold or too hot, my desk has to be adjusted to the right height, I have to have a full jug of water, and I have to have the right things on my desk before I can work. I have to also have the apps I'm going to be using loaded up on my screen before I start my Pomodoro. This is probably another creative way my mind procrastinates. I'm sure I don't need everything perfect, but getting things the right way does cost me a few minutes a day. This is because of my ADHD rather than OCD, because I don't worry that something bad will happen if things aren't perfect. I just find I procrastinate about my study conditions before I get into actually studying. My next procrastination vice is procrastinating after meals. With ADHD, it's so easy to get bored and want to snack, or the opposite, end up hyper-focusing and missing out on eating and have to make up for it later by eating too much. My focus levels tend to nosedive after meals, especially when I'm eating carb-heavy meals. But it's not just the insulin spike after meals that really affects me, but it's the bloating after meals because of my IBS. It definitely reduces my efficiency throughout my study day pretty predictably. It's so important for me to understand my natural productivity peaks and troughs, and after meals I'm generally at a procrastination trough, which can quite easily cost me a few minutes each day. It's why I've been eating at regular intervals and controlling my portion sizes actively. Now let's get into some of my more significant procrastination vices at university. Procrastinating because my work has to be perfect. ADHD and perfectionism make for a particularly nasty combination. ADHD makes it harder to start a task, and perfectionism makes it harder to finish it. The perfectionism procrastination loop is a common experience that we all face with ADHD at university, and I've talked about getting around it in the past. Reflecting on my standard PhD week, I've gotten better at managing perfectionism, and it doesn't interfere with everything I do or work on, but there's definitely some weeks where it impacts me more than others. This is especially the case when I'm submitting an important piece of work to my professors or presenting at our weekly lab meetings. I've gotten to the point where I just submit my work even when I'm not entirely happy with it to help me get around my perfectionism, but it still costs me time each week. As well as this though, what's a more significant procrastination vice is procrastinating because I'm done with a task. ADHD can cause us to hyperfocus on a task, and this is the same time blindness that can make it hard for us to switch from one task to the other. With my ADHD, I don't only procrastinate when I'm doing a task, but I also find I procrastinate when I'm finishing from one task and starting another. It's a difficulty I have with task switching. When I lose my momentum and change to a different task, I struggle with getting going and zeroing in on the new task. This definitely costs me a lot of time across my average PhD week. Another way I waste time each week at university is procrastinating before starting a task. ADHD can cause us to develop an irrational avoidance of getting started with a task. Often it's the case that when I have so many things I need to work on, I just feel overwhelmed by choice paralysis and end up procrastinating. It's just the starting that I find that's difficult, because when I actually get going, I can make good progress at work. This could quite easily cost me a few hours each week, but using the Pomodoro technique has definitely helped me with getting over my irrational avoidance and reducing my procrastination and just starting work. Now, one other way I procrastinate once I've actually started a task is procrastinating because I'm sidetracked. As well as difficulties starting a task with ADHD, once I'm actually started with a task, I can often fall into procrastination too. And one of the biggest ways I do this is because of something I like to call the now or not now mindset. With ADHD, we tend to hyper-focus on the task at hand, completing one task before we're able to move on to the next task. So it's very easy for me at university to waste away essential time when I'm sidetracked and get stuck in the weeds, completing non-essential tasks. And these are usually tasks that I can quite easily complete at a less pressing time, and this can be really devastating and cost me hours each week. It's usually whilst I'm trying to do something trivial that I can get lost and forget what I was trying to do in the first place and end up getting sidetracked. It's so important that I've been able to recognize this, as I'm pretty sure I can come up with a few strategies to stop myself from getting sidetracked as much. Another even more significant procrastination vice I have is procrastinating ahead of important meetings or social events. Disruptions in my routine are devastating. In an ideal university week, I'd like to just spend 90% of my hours working on my PhD. But when there's an important meeting or social event coming up, it can be really difficult to manage my workload, and it can derail my entire day. I end up going into waiting mode and end up throwing away several hours of my day before the meeting or event. It's why I really struggle with work-life balance. I have to do 100% study if I want to bang out a good work day without any regrets. I can't have any serious social events planned or my waiting mode will kick in. Over time, I've gotten better at this, but it's one of the most significant causes of my procrastination. Now, more generally, aside from social events or meetings, I also waste a lot of time procrastinating when my daily routine has been ruined. I have to sleep and wake up at the same time each day, or I just struggle with making the most out of my day. I find I'm better able to manage my time blindness when I'm waking up and sleeping at the same time each day. I'm able to better work with my natural productivity rhythm and have time to switch off, which is great for my mental health. Alongside sleep, it's very important that I eat at the same time each day. When neither my meals or my sleep are in check, I find I'm very prone to losing the rest of my routine, which will cost me several hours a week procrastinating. The last and single most significant way I waste time in my week is procrastinating because I'm overwhelmed. ADHD and anxiety go hand in hand often, and for me, the single biggest time sunk is the procrastination caused when I'm feeling overwhelmed and my anxiety levels are high. Procrastination in this case then becomes an unhealthy coping mechanism. When I'm overwhelmed, procrastination from my PhD studies is an evasive tactic that I use. This helps me get away from the stress and uncertainty about performing well in assignments or deadlines that I have coming up. I'm still struggling with managing my anxiety alongside ADHD, but one of the things that I found that really helps me keep my procrastination in check is underestimating what I'm going to get done in my day, so I sleep happier. It's far better to set myself 3 things I want to do in my day and accomplish 2 of them, rather than set myself 10 things in my day and only achieve 2 of them. This has been a really great exercise to really see the impact of procrastination on my life in the flesh. It's so easy to play down just how inefficient we are with ADHD, but I hope in this video you've been able to see just how much time small vices and bad habits can cost us. Even though I'm very conscious about the way I spend my time at university, down to the last minute, I'm still finding I'm wasting at least 10 hours a week procrastinating in one way or another. But I know I've gotten better at managing my procrastination with ADHD, and I'm constantly developing ways to improve my deep focus and achieve a flow state more often. Anyway, let me know in the comments section what you learned, and like this video and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with more videos on the strategies, frameworks and gadgets that I use to better manage my ADHD at university. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.